UFC legend Daniel Cormier predicts he would beat Mike Tyson in a street fight. I mean, yeah. I saw a lot of comments. No, Mike would land one shot and it'd be over. Okay, street fight, bare knuckle, Mike Tyson, Daniel Cormier. Cormier probably picks Tyson up and slams him on his head. I know that might sound crazy because it's like, no, that's Mike Tyson. When Mike Tyson won the heavyweight title at 20, he was not even that big. He was 220 pounds. Daniel Cormier was picking up guys like Josh Barnett and slamming them on their head. Guys like Dan Henderson, who were actual world-class wrestlers. Cormier would pick up a single leg, he would avoid one punch and slam Tyson on his head, and then commence a beating as Tyson lied on his back, not knowing what to do at all. Sure, he'd be strong. The people that were saying Mike Tyson via knockout is just, I mean, it could happen. Like, anything could happen, but if we want to be realistic about it, 9 times out of 10, Cormier is picking Tyson up and slamming him on his head. 10 million for 5 rounds with Khamzat. How long are you lasting? First of all, I don't know if anyone in the world at his weight makes it 5 rounds. At 170 pounds, where obviously he missed weight, but at 170 pounds where he has made weight before, I think Kamaru Usman is the best chance to make it 5 rounds. Or Colby, maybe. I'm not lasting 5 rounds with Khamzat. I'm not lasting 2 minutes. No, I'm not lasting 30 seconds with Khamzat. If he really wants to get me out of there. That's just weird. You can only watch one. Which one are you choosing? UFC 280 or UFC 281? Oh my god. UFC 281 is shaping up really nicely, but UFC 280 has my absolute 2 favorite fighters in the UFC. If I had to, I don't really have favorites, but specifically Oliveira and Aljamain Sterling, I love both of those gentlemen quite a bit. And then Petr Yan and Sean O'Malley is an insane fight. And then the most entertaining fight on the card, Bilal Muhammad, obviously. Dariush and Gamrot is a really interesting fight. I don't know. I think if I had to choose, and obviously UFC 281 with Pereira and Adesanya, that matchup alone is insane. But if I had to choose, if I could only watch one, I'm going with UFC 280. Jose Aldo is higher than Khabib on the GOAT list. So this is a question that gets fans real riled up because there's Khabib worshippers, but then there are people who take in longevity and all the title defenses of Jose Aldo, and I've done a video on this before. Initially, when Khabib beat Justin Gaethje and retired, I was on the Khabib, like, is the GOAT train. But when you back up from the situation, you remove that recency bias, you realize, okay, he really only has 4 or 5 good wins. Let's go through Khabib's good wins. Gaethje, Poirier, Conor, Barbosa, Rafael dos Anjos. Yeah. Like the other wins are good wins, but I'm talking like good wins in like GOAT category. And maybe you could even take Edson out, but the way he beat Edson was really crazy. So I don't know. I think those would be his 5 good wins in terms of like GOAT status. That's just not enough. And of course, his undefeated record is a big part that everyone talks about. 29-0, never been cut. His dominance, he is by far the most dominant fighter of all time. If we're talking straight dominance, he is, because you gotta like find rounds that he lost. You gotta go and pick and find rounds where he lost. But on the GOAT list, I think all those title defenses and all those wins and all those credentials and longevity put him above in the GOAT list. Maybe I'll do a GOAT list video. Yan is going to destroy O'Malley, right? Well, yeah, it does. It does. Most common circumstance is Yan does destroy O'Malley, and Yan is just so much more experienced at the highest level. Sean O'Malley does have advantages physically, and he's very fast. He's showed precision striking, and he's powerful, and it's MMA, anything can happen. 3 rounds definitely favors O'Malley. Kind of just overwhelm Yan with volume. Like, I think O'Malley's best way to win this is to either obviously catch him with a shot that he doesn't see coming and knock him out, but in a more realistic scenario, O'Malley will have to put a lot of kicks in Jan's face and use a lot of footwork like Aldo did in the first round. Jan is kind of a slow starter, so if O'Malley can win that first round and not let Jan get into a rhythm, I don't know. Destroy? I don't know if Jan's gonna destroy O'Malley, now that I think about it. Because I could easily see O'Malley winning the first round. I could see O'Malley winning the first round just based on volume and Jan just trying to figure it out like he often does in basically all of his fights. Unless Jan comes out as something we haven't seen him, like someone who comes out very, very hot in the first round. I don't know about destroy. I know Jan can't let 2 rounds go and then O'Malley just survives the 3rd round somehow, then he could win. Is O'Malley durable enough to endure that Petr Yan who has figured out what is like he's figured out he's done his calculations and then he starts pouring on these combos. Sandhagen was, will O'Malley be? And obviously there's that stigma around O'Malley being kind of fragile. Yeah, I'm not sure. That's why it's so interesting, because Jan is such a step up, but Jan is a slow starter, and 3 rounds, could O'Malley stick and move with his height advantage? Possibly a speed advantage, definitely a footwork advantage. I don't know. I'm gonna get slack for that one. To finalize it, I don't think Jan is going to destroy O'Malley. I want to witness this banger. Who takes this fight at 185? And El Champ says he has Pereira. Not only is that ridiculous, I could not see a world where Pereira makes it past the first round with Khamzat Chimaev. Unless Pereira's takedown defense has improved leaps and bounds since even his Bruno Silva fight. If Bruno Silva is able to take you down, Khamzat is going to come out immediately like he always does, shoot a takedown right away. If he runs into a flying knee, then okay. But he's going to take down Pereira immediately, and Pereira's jiu-jitsu and wrestling aren't even on the level of Kevin Holland's. So imagine what Khamzat will do to Pereira. I think that is a crazy take that he thinks Pereira takes it. Obviously on the feet, Pereira is going to have the advantage, but I don't think Khamzat even plays that game at all. I don't think it gets out of the first round. Khamzat via submission. Brock Lesnar would absolutely flatline Jon Jones. It's ridiculous. That's kind of crazy. Obviously, we have not seen Jon Jones compete at heavyweight, but Jon Jones is one of the greatest fighters of all time. And I'm assuming what this guy thinks is that Brock Lesnar will just be way too strong and just take him down. But Jon Jones's takedown defense is really good. Really, really good. And if Brock couldn't impose his wrestling on Kane is obviously an amazing wrestler as well, but I would put Kane's defensive wrestling in a similar category to Jones's. No one's ever wrestled Kane, but no one's ever wrestled Jones effectively either. If he takes him down, is he gonna out jiu-jitsu him? Like, does he think he's just gonna smash Jones on the ground once he gets him down? If he gets him down, I don't see that happening. I see Jon picking him apart with oblique kicks to the leg, body kicks, which we know Brock's got some issues with body kicks. I think he's got like something with his stomach, like a disease or something. And obviously Brock's a very physically imposing man, and we've never seen... Hi! As I was saying, obviously Brock's a very physically imposing individual, and the physicality of Brock would be something that Jones has never faced off against, but Jones would be able to handle himself if he got down to the ground. I think his jiu-jitsu is levels above Brock's. I think his wrestling defense will be able to match up with Brock's wrestling, and I think Brock's only chance, and it's a very far shot, is to take him down and like TKO him with ground and pound, because I don't think he's gonna submit him, and I think that situation won't even happen. Like I was saying, I think Jon picks him apart and eventually finishes him to the body, probably similar to like the Shogun finish. Who are your top 10 boats of all time? Best of all time, just purely skill, fighting ability wise. This answer, if done correctly, would take a lot of research, but I'm just gonna do it off the top of my head. So at number 10, I have Robert Whittaker. Some people might put him higher. I think his wrestling defense is insane. I think his heart is very good. I think his chin isn't great, but his heart kind of helps him through that, and he's very smart. I think his weapons, his main weapons are very, very effective, like his jab and his straight and his obviously 1-2 head kick combo. He has a few weapons and they're very good. So I would say Whitaker at 10. Next, I have Max Holloway. Max Holloway, one of the greatest featherweights of all time. A guy who can fight well out of both stances. Doesn't deal with leg kicks too well. Some of the best cardio we've ever seen. Very good wrestling defense as well. Has good jiu-jitsu, has submission wins. His volume is insane. Kicking and boxing, he can do both of those well. So I will say that in at number 9 is Holloway. And then at number 8, I have TJ Dillashaw. Obviously, the EPO is kind of tough, but I kind of disregarded the use of drugs in this. Kind of forgot about the steroid part of it. But I got Dillashaw. I think his ability to switch stances and his angles, his wrestling, far superior to Holloway's and Whitaker's, I would say. His timing on his takedown. He's got a chin, he's got heart, good cardio. I think Dillashaw is definitely one of the boats. And then at number 7, I have Jose Aldo, the best anti-wrestler of all time. He would shut down wrestlers with ease. Aldo can't really adjust as well as some of the guys above him, style-wise. I think his style is not as flexible, and I don't think he could change his game. I don't know. And his cardio too. He never had the best cardio. He would go like 3 or 4 rounds hard, but then have to take a round off. So yeah, I have it, and I don't want to just shit on Aldo. His leg kicks, his boxing defense, his kicking defense, obviously his wrestling defense. He is definitely one of the boats, and that's why I have him in at number 7. At number 6, I have Henry Cejudo. Some people might be mad at this, but Henry Cejudo, his wrestling credentials are obviously off the charts. He can always fall back on that, both defensively and offensively. But the way he was developing as a striker and his karate stance that he was implementing, the adjustments that he would make, and his fight IQ is really, really high. He would figure out his opponent and where he could beat them. And that Marlon Moraes fight where he was getting absolutely pieced up in that first round with kicks, and just had the speed disadvantage, the power disadvantage, the range disadvantage, but he just found a way to win. Fights well out of both stances. Definitely prefers the orthodox, but he does go southpaw on occasion. Like I said, the wrestling, chin, he's got one of the best, very underrated chin. He took huge shots from Marlon Moraes, huge overhand rights. That's why I have Henry Cejudo in at number 6. And number 5, I have Alexander Volkanovski, another guy who can fight very well out of both stances, is one of the smartest fighters ever as well, can adjust his style to beat different kinds of people. The way he fought against Aldo versus the way he beat Korean Zombie, 2 very different fighters. Amazing timing, has looked incredibly fast and sharp in his last few. His 3 wins over Max Holloway are just phenomenal, and he fought different in every single fight. As you can see, adjustments and like the ability to fight all kinds of different styles and still be effective is a huge thing. And in at number 4, I have Georges St-Pierre, a guy who didn't have that wrestling background or wrestling pedigree, but he learned to wrestle and became one of the best wrestlers in UFC history. His timing on his takedowns were amazing, and he had great top control, great ground and pound from the guard, and obviously a very versatile striker as well. Another guy who can adjust to styles very well and has a way to beat you no matter what style you have. That jab, obviously phenomenal. Very basics-centric fighter, but his basics were so solid that he could use them against any style of fighter, and that's why I have him in at number 4. Number 3, I have John Jones, someone who is completely the opposite of GSP in terms of basics. John Jones has such a variety of wild techniques that he throws at you out of both stances. When he's in southpaw, his kicks are amazing. Same when he's in orthodox. Obviously the boxing is lacking, I would say, but his clinch work is phenomenal. His elbows, his wrestling is something that he can always fall back on. He wanted to prove a point in that Chael Sonnen fight by just taking him down and dominating Chael where Chael was best. So another guy who can fight pretty much any style, have success. I think his dexterity at his height and the way he uses his range. And at number 2, I have Khabib Nurmagomedov. Now, some people might be like, but Khabib, he's not the best striker. How could you put him on the GOAT list? I would say Khabib's one skill, or it's like it can be condensed into one skill, grappling, which combines so many different arts. But his skill in superiority, I don't know, superiority in that realm of fighting supersedes any of his other faults, because he is the most dominant fighter to ever exist. So Khabib can impose his will on any style, like I've been talking about this whole time. Any style that Khabib goes up against, even if it's Jose Aldo, who's one of the greatest anti-wrestlers of all time, Khabib will impose his will on a guy like that. It doesn't matter what style you are, Khabib's gonna wrestle, and he's gonna do it at the highest level that we've ever seen it done in MMA. So Khabib's pure dominance in wrestling, grappling, and all the different skills that he brings in that area puts him in at number 2 for me. And then at number 1, I have my GOAT, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, the most well-rounded fighter of all time when it comes to submission game, when it comes to wrestling, when it comes to striking, punching, kicking, angles, bow stances, speed, adjustments. Demetrius Johnson has it all, and he is the greatest fighter of all time, as well as the most skilled fighter of all time, in my humble opinion. So that is why I have DJ at number 1. Let me know if you made it to the end of the video. Let me know what your GOAT list, and you could put it in order, put it not in order, totally up to you. But let me know in the comments. GOAT being best of all time, just skill and fighting wise, nothing about legacy. Other than that, thank you for watching. That's all I got. So, peace.